want to welcome Coach Derek Stank, head coach Bedford Bulldogs football, to the beginning of the 2018 season. Welcome, Coach.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
We're glad you're here. So first of all, I hear there's a new addition in the household. Tell us about what you got.
Decker Ray Stank. He is 2 weeks old, and he is the best thing ever. You know, first baby boy for me and my wife, and we're so happy. We've been trying for a long time, and he's without a doubt brought a whole nother light to my life.
Yeah, there's no question. There's no question about that. Yeah, pretty special. And the mom and baby are doing well?
Everyone's healthy. Everyone's healthy. Yeah, it was, like any delivery and any road through, there's always, times that scare you and everything, but yes, they are very healthy. They're going along, and they're doing everything they need to right now, so we're in a good spot.
Well, enjoy it, because you may not know it with the lack of sleep and all that, but it does go by quick.
I know, that's what I'm being told. So when I'm sitting up at 4 in the morning, I'm just thinking about, this guy's cool right now, and I'm enjoying every moment I get with him. But by 5:30, I'm ready for him to stop crying. But
don't blink, because before you know it, he'll be a senior in high school playing football somewhere, or sports or whatever, and he ends up doing, and it goes by pretty quick. So enjoy that son of yours.
Will do.
So we want to start with last year. Quarterfinal game at Winnacunnet ended with a 34-33 overtime loss. You were 6-3 versus an undefeated Winnacunnet. Tough loss.
Yep.
But a heck of a game. That was a great game that you guys played. But I want to talk about the play, and we talked a little bit earlier. You actually ran that play twice during the game.
Yeah, we probably ran that play a couple more times than twice, but 2 key components we ran that play, 2 key times.
So the 2 times that I looked at was 7 minutes and 15 seconds to go in the fourth quarter. It was tied 20-20. You ran the play. It was a handoff to Anagnos. I think it was Norfleet, I believe, that was in the backfield. Yep. And Harry Lagulon kicked out the end, and Anagnos, Harry kicked it out. Norfleet came in and took the outside linebacker, and Anagnos walked in untouched with 7 minutes to go to give you the lead.
Yep.
Same play, run it in overtime, it gets stopped. What was the difference between those 2 plays, Coach?
Every single play requires 11 guys to do exactly what they need to do. In the game of football, that's a tough thing to be perfect at every single time. And that play right there, we had 10 guys do what they needed to do. All right, and at the end of the day, there's no one play that loses the game, because we had dozens before that could have put us in a situation to prevent them from scoring, to prevent us from putting us in that situation, to make the PAT to go into a second round of overtime. So at that moment in that play, guys didn't do what they needed to do. All right, but it was without a doubt the right choice. Our guys are behind it, and I will always stand behind it. And I'm proud of what we did last year. It was a tough loss. I know we had a better team than our record showed, but we're just excited to get back out there for this season.
Well, you had a couple of tough things to overcome. You had an injury, a key injury to Chuck Robert, who was a quarterback.
Yeah, Connor Robert. Chuck's his father.
That's right. Chuck's the dad, and Connor Robert. Tough injury to overcome, and you had a junior step up to run the team. Did a great job, and I know during that championship game, did a fantastic job. What do you say to a team going into this year, suffering a loss like you did last year, but you need to put it behind you and look for 2018? What do you say to your team after a game like that?
Everything in life is a learning opportunity. That was a great opportunity for us to learn from what we did not do right last year and what we need to do right this year. All right, we have a new program. It's a new team. We have new guys in charge. We have new captains. All right, we have new underclassmen that are stepping up and making big plays. So as much as, yes, the year before makes a difference, it's not going to dictate what happens. Evident by the year before, we were 12-0, won a state title. The following year, we lost 4 games. So as much as, we suffered from that loss, we suffered from that season, not executing and playing football the way we should have, we move on, because the game always goes on with or without you.
One of the questions I'm going to ask your captains when they come up, I got a series of questions. The one I'm going to ask them, and I'll ask you to describe one word on how the season ended last year.
It was tough. It was a tough way to end the season. Because we believed as we progressed from those injuries with Connor Robert, a 3-year starter, going down early in the season and having to put in a raw, untested quarterback into a very high level, not just to mention untested, but in an Exeter game that was a tight battle. Right, to go against Goffstown the very next week, who was a dominant team last year, to get thrown right into the Wolves like that, it wasn't an easy situation. But we started to respond. We started to develop ourselves as an offense once again. And by the time we got to that playoff run, by the time we got to that team again, we were a different program. So to know that we got to where we needed to with the losses that we had between Spencer Adams, the starting inside linebacker, leading tackler the year before, being out, to be able to recover and get to the point that I felt like we were good enough to do this thing again, to go out in that situation by that amount of points, and you know, it was tough. Yeah. It was tough. Yeah. But that's the game of football. Yeah. It's any day. Yeah. Any day there's an opportunity to win or lose, and they were the better team on that day because they won.
And for the record, I will go down and I'll say that if I'm in somebody else's territory and I get a chance to win that game and go for 2, I do it every single time. Every single time. So the fact that you went for 2 to win it versus kicking a field goal or an extra point safely, I tip my hat to you, because that was a tough, gutsy call.
Well, keep in mind, the call was made a little bit easier because we did kick a PAT. When we went into that overtime, we scored.
Right. Oh,
we kicked the PAT, and we kicked the ball into the back of the offensive lineman, at which point in time the yellow came up and there was a defensive encroachment from their right defensive end. So having that be the case, the 3 yards goes to 1.5. We're half the distance to the goal. You watch the ball go into the back of the offensive lineman. We got 2 senior running backs, good offensive line. We're going for that one every single time, no questions asked.
Yeah. Good, good. So anyways, let's put that behind us. Let's talk about 2018, new year.
Yep.
You got some real veterans coming back.
Yep.
And it's not like you cleaned house and you're bringing in a clean slate. You've got some real horses coming back for this offensive side and the defensive side of the ball. Let's start on the offensive side of the ball and talk about, I always say it's one in the trenches, it's one in the line. You always got your studs out there, your key players, but the linemen are the guys that started on the offensive. Who do you got on the offensive line this year? Who's coming back? Who's new?
I've been a line coach here for 11 years. And when I took over as the head coach, nothing changed in my role of what I taught on the offense and defensive line. So without a doubt, I would hold true to that statement. We win it in the trenches. You know, our offensive line, they're a talented group and they're a big group. Our left tackle is Timmy Galamaga. He's been a 3-year starter. He's a great football player. He's going to be a great football player at the next level. And he's really the kingpin to that line. If we got questions, we ask him. Sometimes I have questions about what we're doing, and I got to ask him because he's the brain of that operation. We got Jacoby Collins, another captain with Timmy Galamaga, a 3-year starter also. Our right offensive guard, you know, a small spitfire. He's not a big guy, but he plays big. He was a former wrestler, so he knows how to handle his body and move guys around. All right, from there, we got a couple new guys stepping in. Our center's a new guy, but based on his look and his size, at about 5'11", 285 pounds, a 470-pound squat, he doesn't play like a new guy. He's extremely strong. He's very comparable to Bobby Heald back in the day, but already 15 pounds heavier, and he's going to be a junior this year.
And his name is?
His name is CKW, or Charlie Caniso Williams. CKW. So our left guard is a great football player, a guy that's been a great JV player for us last year. And he came out Cole Wheeler this year, and he ends up being a 2-way starter in the offense and defensive line. A strong, powerful guard, smaller in size, but very fast and athletic. And our right tackle, we got Drew Allard there right now, another junior that's stepping up, a decent sized guy, 270 pounds, and he's getting down some of the fundamentals. You know, we got other guys competing for that spot, like Torrey Helton. He's one of the biggest guys we've ever had in our program at 6'4", 310 pounds. Big, strong guy. So between the two of them, we'll be able to fill that spot there.
Let's talk about the quarterback and the running back. You got this kid coming back, Thomas Morgan. Now, did I see it right? He changed his number from last year. Did he go with number 2? Is that his number?
It sounds right, but honestly, I don't pay attention to the numbers. I probably couldn't tell you half of my numbers right now on my team.
Well, if it's true, I look at it because I'm a history guy, and he took Shahrukh Hussein's number, who was a real stud. Is that right?
I'm getting a nod from my guys that know more of that. So yeah, he took number 2 then.
I like a guy who steps up and has confidence, because that's a confidence deal right there.
Well, he's done an excellent job this offseason. You know, he's done individual work with quarterbacks at the top level. You know, he's been out here all summer long, all spring long, you know, putting in the extra things that he needs to do. And the biggest thing, he's turned into a leader. you know, as a quarterback, you are put in a leadership role. He's not a captain of our team. He wasn't voted captain of our team, but he runs our offense like he is. And that is fundamental. That is essential. From the huddle break all the way to the end of that play, he's doing a great job for our program, not just from a physical standpoint with his legs and his ability to throw, but also from a mental and leadership standpoint.
And who's his backup this year? Not that we want to see the backup, but in case we need to see a backup, who do you got lined up?
We got a big old question mark right there for that backup.
Okay.
All right, so we have Aaron Scalings, who is a quarterback for us. He was our freshman quarterback last year. He's a good athlete, still raw in the mechanics, and he's fighting for a spot right there. You know, if we get to a situation we got to go back up, we'll start to look elsewhere. We'll start to look at other positions that guys may be playing starting wide receiver, but move them into the backfield because they are pretty knowledgeable. They can hand the ball, they can move on the fly, and they can throw when they need to.
Let's go to the running back position. Who do you got at running back?
So Ryan Toscano is our returning back. We had 3 backs last year that were considered starters. 2 of them graduated Norfleet and Aganost. Yep. Right now we have Ryan Toscano. He's put on about 15 pounds of mass. He's decreased his 40 time. He's put in the strength and the size and the numbers, and he's the captain of our team right now. He's a great running back. He's going to be a two-way player at outside backer for us, and we're excited to have him as our premier back. From there, we've got 3 backs underneath. All younger guys, and all 3 of them have ability. Mikey Axon, Jackie Grogan, and we call him Sonny Menderson. So Sonny, they're good players.
Nice. You're also listing 2 slots and 2 wide receivers. Who do we got in the slot position?
So we got Lucia Mompini. He's been a starter now for about 2.5 years. He's a very talented football player. He holds our record here for the long jump and triple jump. He's a very gifted individual. He'll be our punt returner, kick returner, and all of those things that you need a special athlete for. So he's playing one slot, and the other one is Harrison Lagulon. He's a great football player, not a standard slot from a body standpoint, but he gets that job done. He knows how to run his routes, but then he can put them right up in the box, shuffle them in, and he's a great lead blocker for us.
He reminds me of Gronkowski when I see him play. Big, strong guy.
Don't give him that ego. Don't give him that ego.
Don't tell him that.
He's got enough. He's got enough.
Couple of wide receivers you got on your schedule. You got Green and Donahue. Tell me about those guys.
So both new to the varsity program. You know, Green, he was a JV player for us last year. He's stepping up. He's filling the shoes of his brother back in the day, Liam Green, who's playing at the next level. And then we also have Ryan Donahue. He's a senior this year. He's suffered from some back injuries for the last couple of years and has not been able to actually get onto the football field since his freshman year. But he's decided to put in the work over the offseason, and due to that, he's found himself a starting spot right now.
You get into special teams, you need kickers, you need punters, you need long snappers. Tell me about those 3 positions.
Well, kickers, we have a competition still. Madison Lucantoni, she's been a 4-year kicker for us now. This is her 4th season, and she's got the skills, she's got the assets, she has the tools to be successful, and right now she's fighting for that starting spot and trying to lock that one down. We have Ryan Babotis, who was a kicker back in the day, decided not to play for a year, but he's come back out. Good leg on him, good technique. You know, he's got some learning to do still to get back on board from losing that year. From there, we got a different Crowley that's stepping in as our punter. We had Connor Crowley for the last 2 years. His younger brother's coming out this year, so we got another Crowley back there as a punter, but he's a sophomore, he's young, so we still got to see where we go from there. And snappers, we still have Ryan Toscano, who's been our snapper from last year. The amount of reps he will get on those special teams, we try to limit as a 2-way starter, and especially as a running back. So, you know, we'll see where we go from there, whether that's a Joe O'Leary or we stick with Ryan Toscano.
Nice. Let's get on the other side of the ball, defense. I know that's where you were in high school, college here at UNH. Let's talk about your defensive line. Again, trenches, it works in the trenches. Talk about your guys on the defensive line.
I'm excited for the defensive line. I mean, that's what I played through college. And, you know, our defensive ends, you're going to look at them and you're not going to be intimidated. At a 6 foot tall, you know, 190 pounds apiece max, but the way they play, it's scary. They are smart football players. That's first and foremost. They know how to read their keys. They know how to take care of the fundamentals. They know how to stay on sides. All right, they know how to do everything that we ask them to do, all right, from a defensive end standpoint. And most importantly, they make big plays when you need them to, especially against the pass. Our defensive tackles, little bit on the, Roller side. We replaced Chris Francis, Seth Andrews, Josh Colmore, who were kind of our starter guys last year, but we got some big guys coming back. I got 4 guys that look at that spot right now. The first one's probably a Torrey Helton. He's 6'4" and 310 pounds. I call him Redwoods because his arms are like redwood trees. He's a big, strong dude, and he knows how to play football. So he's going to be, and he's a junior this year, so he's going to have a great opportunity to find some success on the inside. From there, we got Cole Wheeler, who's going to be playing. We got CKW, he's going to be playing, and Timmy Galamaga, our left tackle. So a lot of size on the inside, which is something that we haven't always had. We've been more of a small D line from an interior standpoint for many years now. We're the largest we've been from the interior right now.
And you talked about the defensive ends, but who are they? You've got Dwight and you've got
Christian Bourgeois.
Yep.
Christian Bourgeois, yep. Both starters last year, so it's nice to have that, knowledge that they've played a whole season. They know how to play at a high level, and I think they're ready to go again this year.
Senior leadership, you can't discount that at all. Yep. Let's get into the linebacker core. Interesting. You got a couple of names from the past. Let's talk about your linebackers.
So linebackers on the inside, we have Harrison in the goal line. He was a great player for us last year, obviously, on the offense for many years, for the last 2 years. And defensively, he stepped in when we had some injuries with Dimitri, with Spencer last year, and became a good inside linebacker for us. Beside him, we have Alex Pantalakis. We call him Pants, just because that last name's a doozy. But at the end of the day, he's a good football player. He came over from Dover a couple of years. We're glad to have him on board here. He's a good downhill player, and he does a good job on the inside. Our outside backers, we basically took our corners, our free safeties, and we moved them into the box. We had Ryan Toscano at 190 pounds last year. He's 210 now, so we put him out there at outside backer. We had Zachary Guerin that somehow went from 170 pounds to about 220 pounds. As he hit that growth spurt, he moved from that backup slash, starting corner spot, moved him to the other outside backer. So across the board, our outside backers have a combined weight of about 215 average, actually bigger than my DNs, but they're good athletic players that know how to play man if we need, because they've been back there in that secondary for the whole year now.
And let's talk about your backs. You've got your free safety, a guy by the name of Jack Jones. Is that still on there?
Jack Jones is the free safety as of right now. He's doing a good job fighting for that spot. That's the biggest hole we have to fill in our defensive standpoint. We have one guy returning, that's Lucian Mumpini. He's been back there for 2 years now. From there, we got 2 empty holes. So Jack Jones is fighting, and he's doing a great job with that free safety spot. The other one's getting filled right now by Solomon Sanchez, a transfer over from Memorial, and we're excited to have him. He's a young buck, a sophomore, still a lot to learn, but he's stepping up. We got other guys that are fighting for those spots, like Tyler Spires, and guys that have been here with us for the last couple of years too. So,
well, I like when you say a kid from Memorial, because that's my alma mater, so I'll be looking for him.
All right.
So last thing I just want to touch upon, Coach, and then I'll let you go because I know you got some home duty to get to.
Oh yeah.
What are the numbers this year? We already talked about that last year, that over the past few years the numbers have been down, the quality's up. What do you got for the numbers this year over last year?
We have 61 upperclassmen, that's sophomores and up. We have 25 freshmen. All right, so we're in a good spot with the numbers. Would I like another dozen? Sure. But do we need another dozen? No. The quality is very good for the numbers that we have. Do we have enough to go through a whole round of ones with injuries? No. If any team suffers that, they're probably going to suffer. There's a few teams out there that can deal with that. But in other words, yeah, we're going to be hurting if we lose a dozen or half dozen guys. But the numbers, I think, are coming back. I think people are understanding that this sport is not as dangerous as what it maybe once was or is perceived to be. The amount of concussions that we've had this year versus what soccer players have had, we have less. We practice helmetless tackling. We take care. We don't go live except for a couple times a year. We are very aware of what we are trying to save, and that's just not our health of our players for this year, but it's the future of this game. This game depends on coaches evolving, programs evolving, players evolving to teach this game differently, to be smarter about the way we play. You can't remove risk from this game. You can't remove risk from anything, but you can try to eliminate as much as you possibly can, lessen the chances for injuries. So I think doing so, transferring that message down to our youth programs, that's ultimately going to help these numbers build back up to get to the programs where we used to have 110, 120 players on the roster.
And I know by the time this thing airs, we're going to have a scrimmage under your belt or two and a Jamboree coming up. who are you facing in the Jamboree, and what do you expect to see out there?
Well, we saw Winnicott yesterday in our first scrimmage. It was a great scrimmage. The boys did very well, and we have Salem on Friday at the Jamboree. So we're excited to see them. We haven't seen them since 2 years ago in our playoff run when we saw them 2 times in a row. So we'll be seeing them on Friday, and you know, we'll go one game at a time after that.
And then we kick it off in a few weeks, and the season goes, and away we go. Fall's here. You can feel it in the air. It's been hot and rainy, but the nights have been cooler. Yeah. My favorite time of year, and I'm looking forward to the 2018 edition of the Bedford Bulldogs with the Bulldogs and Coach Stank. But we appreciate your time, and
hey, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Always nice talking to you, and good luck this year, Coach.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.